Financial wellness. Reach out to them for advice at 855-DON-GINO. And now back to your hosts, Don Getling and Gino Fronti.
Well, happy Friday from Don Getling and Gino Fronti on your Saturday show every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we are super, super excited about today's show. Backed by popular demand, one of our absolute favorite guests, and always in the know and always has great information. And we always say an opinion, meaning somebody that really tells us what they think about the market. And nobody will know more about our real estate market here in Santa Cruz than the number one real estate agent in Santa Cruz since, 94, I think? Was that about right?
A few years.
Yeah, a few years. I know you like he doesn't accolade himself, which is really cool. He just does a hell of a job. And we really appreciate him taking time out of his, nobody's busier than this guy. And he's our number one real estate agent, number 5 RE/MAX agent in all of California, I believe.
Oh, come on.
Something like that. Number 1 in California, number 5 for RE/MAX, right? Something like that. I don't know. It's huge.
Some ridiculous.
There's a lot of big teams out there that are well ahead of me, but in California, we're proud to always be in the top 2.
Okay, very cool.
Beautiful.
All right, that voice you recognize, Mr. NEAL WEICHEL with RE/MAX. Been in the industry now since 91, right?
Correct.
Okay, I got that one right. But what we love about NEAL is NEAL does more transactions than anyone in this town, which we always mention, and NEAL, we kind of mention this a lot, how we know what's going on with the market, how we know about financing, how to get finance through is we have more at-bats. We have more eyes to see what works, what doesn't work, and allows us to see what can potentially be a problem down the road, and we can maneuver our clients around it to avoid that. And you have a lot of at-bats, a lot of experience, a lot of great people in your team to do the same for your clients. So it's great having you on the show to kind of help us go back to see what happened in 2016 and what's going to happen in 2017. We call it your State of the Union you like to do every year.
Sure.
So we got it personal here.
Yeah, so one thing you forgot to do, Don, is to invite everybody to the website.
There you go.
So please go check us out at donandgino.com. You can join us in the studio. Hit the live streaming button so you can join us in the studio. And one of the things that I think is, like you mentioned, the experience factor allows you to identify things sooner. It allows you to identify things sooner in the marketplace, identify things on transactions. And I think that's what the key insight is when you do a lot of transactions is when you identify things sooner, it allows you to create a more predictable result for our clients.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. I mean, and thanks for having me back, guys. It's nice to see you again. I think when you're younger and you're full of, excitement and energy and hard work, you kind of don't really give experience the credit it deserves. But after you've been in this business for a long time, and we've all been in this business for a long time, you really start to see things before they happen. And when you can do that, you can really protect your clients and really, I think, do a much better job and provide a better service. And there's some very interesting things that are happening in our business that started a few years ago that are really hitting now. And if you understand them, I think you can really take advantage and do a great job. And if you don't, I think you're going to be left by the side of the road. You're just not going to be able to compete. You're not going to be able to provide the service that the client's going to demand and candidly get. So.
Well, and we like watching. And again, if you just tuned in, you're here with the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show every Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And we have NEAL WEICHEL, number one real estate agent in Santa Cruz, number one RE/MAX agent in all of California, and just does an outstanding job. We respect him and his team, and we love. I mean, you're a speaker. Often we always hear you speak, but you always are, I don't know, better than most. It seems like you pay attention to where the market is been, where it's heading, where you think it's going to head. And I think it's a huge advantage for you and your clients, without a doubt.
Well, I hope so. I mean, obviously, nobody can predict the future, but I think if you're aware of the fundamentals, and a lot of good agents are, and the most important thing that I do, I mean, I think it's the most important, is we simply talk to each other. Because if you can talk to your fellow agents, hey, what's going on with that listing? I mean, it's literally on the ground what's happening. Oh, you're not getting showings anymore? Hey, how come that home hasn't sold? How many offers did you get? How did it sell? I mean, all these questions that really just help you understand what's happening out there. I mean, I tell sellers or potential sellers, and it's true, I know where the buyers are before you put your home on the market, because I do. We track them. I know exactly who's working, which agents are working with what buyers, because they're calling me all the time or they're emailing me all the time. Hey, Neil, what do you have coming up in this neighborhood, that neighborhood? That on the ground intel is critical, because I know when I can push price, I know when I can't. When all of a sudden I see a part of town that's been really, really strong, like Copper Hill North Saugus has been really, really, well, all of a sudden, guess what? The inventory has been building over there. Now, why has that happened? Well, for certain homes, if they have certain yards and certain pools, they'll still go quickly, but the others won't. Why is that? Okay, well, if you know, then you can educate your client and make sure they don't overprice their listing. If you don't know, then you're going to be stuck on the market for 2-3 months, because even though we're in a tight inventory market, and there's no disputing it, we don't have enough homes for sale, there are certain pockets where we've got homes on the market 40, 60, 90, 100, 150 days. Believe me, those sellers don't think it's a tight inventory.
Right.
They're wondering what's going on, right? So anyway, that's you got to really know, literally neighborhood to neighborhood, street to street, floor plan to floor plan, what's going on, and the better agents do.
So, that comes back to the point that real estate is hyper local. And we're not talking about necessarily a zip code. We're talking about, a particular track sometimes that's
even a
really
street,
hot.
Gino. Even a street. Yeah. Like, for example, if I was looking at a home this morning and I was educating somebody who's working with me that's new, I said, look, if it's on this side of the street, it backs up to Westridge Parkway. If it's on the other side, it's got a private yard. That's the difference between selling and not selling at a certain price.
Right.
Now, I know that. I know whether it's odd or even, right?
Yep.
And again, it makes all the difference in the world. You hire an agent from outside this area, and we see this happen all the time, and they don't know what they're doing. They got the tax information wrong. They got the school information wrong. They've overpriced the listing, or sometimes underpriced it, but usually overpriced it. They haven't staged it. They haven't marketed it. The photos are horrible. Well, guess what? The home isn't going to sell. Yeah. And it's not going to sell because that's just, what you need to do.
Yeah, one of the things that I also see right now in the marketplace, and I don't know if you're feeling the same, but there's a little more mellow roost sensitivity than there was a couple years back. And maybe it's because interest rates have risen.
And prices.
And prices have risen, and there's a little bit of an affordability factor. But I'm finding clients asking, maybe it's education. Maybe they know about it now a little bit better, and they say, hey, I really don't want a home with mellow roofs. I did my research, and I don't want a home with mellow roofs. So we're seeing that.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And I think we talked about this actually the last time we were together a while ago. The buyer is more educated than ever, and they're more price sensitive than ever. They really understand what they're paying for and what it's going to cost them and what they're getting for it. They're very value conscious. So even though they may be very willing to be in a multiple offer situation, raise their offers, and do what it needs to be done to get the home, if there's a problem, or if there's an objection, or if there's something they're not comfortable with, a very high HOA perhaps, definitely a Mello-Roos tax, which for those that don't know, of course, is extra property tax, extra tax that you have to pay to own that home, mostly in the newer neighborhoods. I mean, Mello-Roos, it's fascinating to me. You can tell by how the agents describe the homes. Read the descriptions in the MLS. They'll put in the main description, sometimes the first sentence, no Mello-Roos, in the first sentence.
Yeah.
It's that important.
Well, they think it is. Now, does the buying public think it is? Perhaps. To your point, perhaps. Again, street to street, neighborhood to neighborhood, it really depends. If you want to live in West Creek, Valencia, because you want West Creek Academy, you're going to pay Mello-Roos.
That's right.
You simply want to know what it's going to be so you can factor it in when they meet with you to do their loan numbers. That's all.
I just love it. Again, you're with the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. We're here with NEAL WEICHEL with RE/MAX, right off the old road. Now, sharing great information, becoming one of the top real estate agents since 1991. And I love that you just tell us your details. You have so much detail in what is happening in our real estate market. A lot of times when we bring on certain, not as experienced or opinionated or informed, I'll say mostly informed agents, they kind of roundabout. But yours is very pointed. You're like, nope, this side of the street, this backyard, this Mello-Roos, this pool, this side. I mean, that's imperative. And then I'd love when we come back, there's a couple of things I want to go over. So a lot of you out there will understand a little bit better how to be more successful and what to be prepared for and what's going on in our market. Nobody knows better than NEAL WEICHEL is, where you see our market going in 2017. Everybody wants to know where we're at now and where we're going. And also how you're helping your sellers be successful.
Sure.
Obviously, you're doing it better than anyone else. You have more listings than anyone. You control most of the listings out here, which helps your buyers, obviously. Like you said, you know where the buyers are because they're calling you for the inventory that you have. So there's so many factors that I feel that you can help our listeners be more prepared for where the market really is and set the tone for expectations. A lot of it is expectations, and you're really good about setting expectations. We have a lot of challenges with our buyers sometimes because the agent didn't set the right expectations.
Yeah, it's critical for sure.
All right, so when we come back, again, we're going to talk with Neal Weichel, #1 real estate agent for RE/MAX in California, #1 in Santa Cruz since ever. And we're going to get some more information about what's going on in the market, how you can be successful as a seller, how you can be successful as a buyer, and also we're going to get to know Neal a little bit more because everybody's like, why is Neal so popular? He must be liked some way. So we're going to get to know Neal a little bit when we come back to the Don and Gino Real Estate and Finance Show. Don't go away.